We are incredibly excited to announce Spider Impact 5.5. There's a lot of great new functionality in it, like the ability to pull data from a bunch of new data sources. It's got great new data visualization capability, and a whole bunch of quality of life improvements to just make the software easier to use. Let's jump right in. So, one of the biggest tentpole features is all of our new data import stuff. So, you can import data like always by going to the import menu, but now you see a beautiful new menu of all the import options you've got. It's organized by both data source and data format. So you can discover all the different types of data that we support now. We also support the ability to import initiatives now. Just like with scorecard items, you drag files in and it gives you a preview of your data, you map your data, and then it imports it. And so you can see all your initiatives, tasks, and milestones imported from your spreadsheets right into the software. We now have Zapier integrations. This is a big deal. Zapier is a third-party web app that integrates with over 5,000 other applications. It acts as the traffic cop and pulls data from all these remote sources. There's 3 steps to setting up a Zap in Zapier. First is the trigger. Here we're going to set up a schedule. So we're going to say, reach out and run this Zap every week, every Tuesday at midnight. Then the second step is, okay, what action do you want to do? This is your data source. You can say all kinds of different applications up here. It says showing Jira, Google Analytics, Google Sheets, all that kind of stuff, right? We're going to say Salesforce. We're going to search for Salesforce. Again, there's thousands of data sources that they support. And then this next step is going to be dependent on your data source. Here we're choosing to import all customer records from Salesforce, specifically all accounts where deleted is false, right? All the active accounts. And we're going to continue, test the data connection. And then the third step is, where do you want to put this data? Well, we want to put it into Spider Impact. So we're going to search for Spider Impact, choose that data source, and then we map the columns from Salesforce into Spider Impact. So we're choosing, all right, I want these 3 fields from Salesforce, right? And as well as the import date. And the final step is to schedule and publish the Zap. This is going to send data to Spider Impact on a regular basis. And the way you use that in the software is just like any other data source. You choose it from the menu. There's going to be a list of all the Zaps that are coming in. You can preview your data. You can ignore rows, that kind of stuff. And then you choose any transformations. We're not going to transform the data. Choose which fields you want to create in your data set. And here we have all of our Salesforce records right here in Spider Impact. Now, you can import data directly into KPIs, directly into initiatives. You can build KPIs, scorecard structure, initiatives, whatever. But it's most useful when you're importing into a data set, because then you can slice and dice your data. You can show aggregated information and then create KPIs directly based on the information that you have in your data set. Custom scoring, this is a big deal. Customers have been asking this for a long time. We've always had 0 to 10 scoring in the application. Well, now you can change that. In this example, we're going to do 0 to 5 scoring. And you can see here, it's a little bit worse than medium, and it's a score of 2.1. We can also do percentage instead of just normal number scoring. So here we've chosen percentage, and it looks like this, a score of 41.8%. You can choose to extend, allow scores to extend above 100% and below 0, or whatever. If we were doing number scoring, it'd be above 10 and below 0. Here's what that looks like in the application when we're turning them both on. We've got a score of 120% in this example because we've extended beyond our highest possible score. There is a new section called Scoring Types in Application Administration. This is where you choose which scoring type options you want for KPIs. It's pretty helpful because you can turn them off and only use the ones that you want, and then you can add whichever custom ones. Here's 4-color orange, for example, or 4-color blue. And you can add custom scoring types. This is brand new in version 5.5. Here we're going to set a custom number scoring type. So it's going to be called darker green. And the idea here is you just define the thresholds and the colors between them. So in this example, between the worst and the goal threshold, it's going to be anything between a score of 0 and 7 is going to be red, 7 to 9 is green, and then 9 to 10 is dark green. And you can, as you can see here, you can set your scores, your colors, you choose whatever you want, set your goal, and you build custom scoring types. It doesn't stop there. We also have a custom scoring type called stabilize. And the idea for this, it's really common with manufacturing, right? The middle is green, and then as you go outside, or the middle score is 10, oftentimes it's green. It doesn't have to be. You can choose whatever colors you want. But the idea is the middle is 10, and then the scores get lower as you get outside. So you don't want too high or too low. And finally, there are there's text scoring. So the idea here is you define options that people can choose in a drop-down and give them scores and colors associated with it. This is a survey, right? Are you not at all satisfied, partially satisfied, etc. Based on the value they choose in a drop-down, you get a color and a score. Unscored text is the exact same kind of thing, except for there's no colors or scores. You just have values you choose in a drop-down. And the way this works in practice is you go to update your KPIs, you choose a value. Here we're choosing satisfied, and then you get a color and a score associated with it, exactly like number scoring, except for you're choosing text values. Reports, we've got a lot of wonderful new data visualization reports. This is a report showing all of the sales broken down by employee and country. And it's great because we can see at a glance how things are going, but we can always make this better. So we're going to edit the formatting on this column, and we're going to change it from regular color to conditional color. And just like that, we can see heat map style colors showing performance. So we can see which is our highest performing sales folks and which are our lowest performing sales folks. There's also a whole bunch more formatting options besides just the defaults that we see here. So we're going to edit formatting again, and we're going to choose edit. Here we see the option for color schemes. So you can choose a wide variety of colors, light red to dark red, light blue to dark blue. But in this particular example, we're going to choose a white middle score, or white middle color, and we're going to choose 11 thresholds. And so what we're doing here is it says anything in the middle is going to be white, anything on the lower end is red, anything on the higher end is blue. Now, by default, it's going to look at the lowest value on your report and the highest value on your report and break that into 11 even segments. But you can also override that auto and choose specific thresholds like we're doing here. So anything between 10,000 and 11,000 is going to be white, and anything outside of that is going to be progressively darker red and blue. So once you apply this to our report, you can see at a glance our highest and lowest performers. There's a bunch of new stuff in reports. This is the indent to show hierarchy toggle, and it's really good when you have a whole bunch of scorecard or initiative items with parent-child relationships. Here they indent if they're children. We also have the ability to do subtotals in report columns now. We're going to edit the data source, and you can choose any calendar that is bigger than the calendar you're graphing. So this is a monthly report, and so we can choose quarterly or yearly calendars. In this example, I'm going to show both of them just to show you what it looks like. And here you can see we have quarterly as well as yearly subtotals. Geographic data. So in the past, we have a whole bunch of, we see a lot of data sets that have geographic data built in, city, country, postal code, state, province, that kind of stuff. And data sets just fine with that. So if you want to break things down by country and treat the country as a text field, it's great. We can see, oh yes, United States is 50% of our sales, right? But now we have the ability to designate these geographic fields and tell Spider Impact that it is specifically a type of geography, and we get a little bit of extra information from that. So we're saying, yes, this country field is geographic. It's a country. It's not a postal code or a city. And once we define that and tell it it's a country, you're able to get some extra information out of that. So when we go back and add this country field now on the Datasets Explorer tab, instead of just listing all the countries, it now is able to aggregate them into continents. And you can get continent totals for North America, Europe. And we're going to click on North America, and it drills in. And then you say, okay, here's the relative totals for the North American countries that I've made sales in. So it gives you a little bit extra information for geographic fields, but it doesn't stop there. Once you define your fields for geography, you can do some really neat new charting stuff. So there is a brand new chart in version 5.5 called Field Map, and it looks like this. Now, just like all of our charts, you've got sample data when you first create it, just so you can see and play with your chart, and you don't have to have geographic data right off the bat in order to play with these charts. So let's look what they look like here. So we're going to go to the View tab, and you can hover over a country and you can see its value and a tooltip. You can drill down, it zooms in and out. When you click on the United States, you can see Alaska and Hawaii slide in and they slide back out again. So that's the general idea with geographic maps. It's exactly the same kind of thing as with the dataset section, except for you're exploring your data geographically. You can choose color scheme and number of segments just like in the report section. Here we're going to change to a red, yellow, green with 11 segments so you can kind of see performance. And it works exactly the same way. Again, this is all made up data, but you could look at the relative performance of different countries, based on geography. There's the ability to set map levels. So in this particular example data, it goes only down to the country level, so you can't turn on postal code or city, but we can turn on continent, and that's what this looks like. And just like in the Datasets Explore section, we now have aggregated totals based on continent. We click on Africa, it shows the individual totals for the country. You can zoom in and out. It's a great way of exploring your geographic data. Another map level that you can turn on is 3D Earth. Now by default, it's going to show the Earth level as a 2D map, but you can also show it as a rotating globe that you can grab a hold of and drag around. When you click on a country, it opens up and expands and zooms on your country and zooms back to the globe. So let's see what this looks like with some real data. We're going to click on the placeholder data and we're going to choose Set Data Source. And we're going to set this to the data source that we were experimenting with earlier, where we've made sales in 4 different countries. And let's see what that looks like. So first we choose the field. And we go to View, and you can see here's the 4 countries, right? We got United Kingdom, Canada, United States, and again you can click and drill down. It only goes down to the country level in this data set. Here's another data set though where things go a little bit lower. We're showing starting at the United States, and this is again fictitious sales, number of customers, and we're going to click on Texas, and it's going to zoom in on Texas and show all the postal codes where we've made sales in Texas. Or we can click on Nebraska and then click on an individual postal code, zoom all the way in, and then go back to the country level. These maps are just charts, right? And you can turn off the background on any chart and put it on a dashboard. And what's great is interacting with a map is the same thing as applying a dashboard level filter. So I can click on the table on the right or on a state in the map on the left and apply filters. So in this particular example, try that again. In this particular example, I'm clicking on Tennessee, and you'll notice the zip code table on the right reflects Tennessee, and I can back up and remove that filter. On charts, we now have the ability to duplicate any type of object here. I'm duplicating a chart series, but you can duplicate, reference lines and bands. This is one of those many quality of life improvements in version 5.5. We also have the ability to set labels directly on bar charts. This is what it looks like when there's enough room to have the label horizontally. If there's not enough room, it displays the information vertically. We have the ability to put labels directly on a lot of the infographic style dashboard widgets like these filled containers. We also have legends now in charts. So by default, legends are auto, which means that if the colors are ambiguous, it's going to automatically put a legend up there. You can turn off legends, or you can force it to be horizontal, which is always on. Or you can force it to be vertical, always on, which shows the legend on the right-hand side in a column. These legends also can be turned on for dashboards, and they're just like any other widget where you can select them and resize and drag them around and that kind of thing. There also is a fifth type of legend for dashboards, and this reflects the way that legends have traditionally worked on dashboard charts. It's called chart title. And when you turn that on, it looks like this. Sorting has always been done manually with series. So you grab the series in the report or the chart and you drag it around to resort. Now there's the ability to change sorting from manual to value or by data series name alphabetically. Here we're going to sort by value. And we're going to do high to low. Let's try that again. They got it that time. And it resorts, right? So the idea here is you can sort your values automatically because sometimes, one bar will be taller than another bar and then they'll switch the next month. You can always have your data sorted this way. It also works for repeating values, right? So I've got, in this particular situation, I've got all my sales people broken down by country. It defaults to manual sorting, but I can change it so that here I'm sorting by value for the salesperson and then alphabetically by country. Forms is a brand new feature in version 5.5. The idea is it allows you to build surveys or mini applications to get data into data sets. So we've had the ability to modify data set values before. It's in the Records tab, right? So here we're exploring the Records tab. It's just a big table of your raw data set data. And you can hover over a row and edit it. And if a field has been designated as something that can be edited, you can override the value. Here we're changing the country to Canada, right? You can also add new data sets records. If the data set has been designated as something, you can add new records. And it lists all of the data set fields alphabetically. It's not the world's best user interface because we don't know, contextual information about the different fields. It just lists all the fields alphabetically. You fill in whatever you want and you hit save. Well, that's not a great way to update data. And so now there is a forms section directly in the software that allows you to build your forms for data collection. And let me quickly talk about why you might want to do this. So let's say you've got a human resources data source, your HR software, and it lists all your employees in there. But it doesn't have their t-shirt size, and you want to be able to track their t-shirt size so that you can send out t-shirts for a holiday present, right? So what you would do is you would add a new field to the data set right there in Spider Impact, and you could have a little survey that goes out and has people fill out their t-shirt size, and it populates that data set with supplementary information, an additional column, right? So that's a kind of situation where you have existing records and you want to add new information to it. Or what happens if you have a HR system that doesn't track your interns, but you want to run reports and dashboards and include your interns? Well, you could also create entirely new records to supplement the system of record. And so you could go in and have a form fill out where you create a new employee for your intern, and then you have the full information right there in Spider Impact. Or finally, maybe your data doesn't exist in any system of record and you create a blank data set and you create new records and track it all right there in your forms. So that's what the form section is. It's for collecting information that doesn't exist somewhere else. So in order to do that, you add the widget. From the Add Widget menu, there's a single field, there's checkboxes, there's text, buttons, record lists. We're going to add some single fields. And you choose whatever field you want, and you build your forms out this way. We're also going to add a button. And we're going to edit the text in the button. You can drag and drop around, reorganize your form. And we're going to call this button New Customer. And we're going to assign it an action, which is go to a different form page, go to the customer details page where you can create a new record, right? And that's the general idea. You add widgets, you assign them actions, you give them logics, you drag and drop around. This is what a completed form could look like. Here's a record list widget. And in this situation, we're going to modify an existing record. So we're going to search for the user we care about. Here we're searching for Scott Wojcik. Oh, there he is. And we can edit Scott. And again, this is just the same permissions as the record section, right? The only thing you can modify is country. So we're switching the Scott's country to Cambodia. And we'll search for Scott again and just make sure that went through. Yep, there's his new country is updated, right? And we can also create new records. So in this form, we're going to click Create New Customer and fill out all the information. We're going to create Scott Rogers now. And we save them and go back to the record list widget. And now we'll search for this new Scott Rogers record. Yeah, there it is. So that's the general idea with forms. It allows you to collect information that doesn't exist anywhere else and allows you to build little mini applications or surveys that you send out to people. Speaking of sending information out, here's how you share a form. You can go to Send to Shared Form, just like you can share a dashboard. And you can create a link that you can share with folks or HTML code that will embed in a third-party website like SharePoint. Here we've copied this link and we've got, just for the proof of concept here, we've got this form. No one needs to log in, it's outside, so make sure when you share forms that it's sharing and exposing the data that you want to share, but you can use all these forms outside of Spider Impact without authentication. Dashboards, there's a couple of great new enhancements. First, you can click on any of these infographic widgets to drill down for more information. So here's something's red, what's going on behind the scenes? Oh, okay, I've clicked to drill down, right? It's interactivity with dashboards that goes further than it did before. Same kind of thing with other widgets. You can choose to allow drill downs on any type of widget now. So here's a note widget. I'm going to choose the drill down and I can choose, oh, I want to have it drill down to another dashboard or a chart or whatever. There's a bunch new administration functionality in the software. This is great for companies that are very concerned about security or who have large user bases they want to manage. There's now the ability to disable users. So when you disable a user's account, the permissions are still there, they still own everything. It's exactly as if they were using the software, they just can't log in temporarily while you check that little box. You can disable an account on a specific day. So if you have a temporary user and you hire someone that's going to work with you for a month, you can say, all right, automatically disable their account 30 days from now, and then that box will get checked in 30 days. There's other ways to disable user accounts as well. You can disable inactive accounts if someone doesn't log in after 60 days or however many days you choose. They can automatically be disabled, and they can also be disabled after a certain number of failed login attempts. You can also assign users to be alerted when users are created or modified. So for example, here are two system administrators and I'm assigning them, and these people will get alerts within Spider Impact whenever a user is modified. Finally, there's a lot of usability improvements in Spider Impact 5.5. Here's just a couple of them. So now, whenever you have a tab in the software, it's going to say exactly what you're looking at. So here's the effects of IT initiatives dashboard or individual candidate sales dashboard or whatever, right? If you have multiple tabs open, it can be very helpful to know which tab represents which information. And we have sticky headers in scrolling. So throughout the entire application, table headers will stick to the top as you scroll. In this particular example, we're looking at the Dataset Explorer section, but it also applies to tables in dashboards and throughout the application. And that's just some of the enhancements in version 5.5. There's 50 more that I didn't have time to cover today. We cannot wait for you to get your hands on this software. Anybody who has active licenses can upgrade for free, and reach out and check on our website for more information.